Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and welcome to part 2 of our mock hospital build. Right, as usual, I'm going to do a few bits of admin before we get on to the actual build. The first bit is to show off a bit of my merch that I received recently, and this is what I call Vitruvian Robin, which is a t-shirt, and this is a design that I kind of copied. But from Leonardo da Vinci. It's been around for a bit of a while, but with my face on it and Lego limbs. And I'm quite proud of it, actually, because I drew all of that in an art program, which, at least for me, is quite an achievement. So, yeah, so that's available on the shop tab of my YouTube channel, or there is a link in the description below. And while we're doing other things that aren't hospitals, I thought I'd just show you a few more amendments. I did take the tip of filling this space using a very clever technique that I wasn't aware of, including a modified plate and so on, which is kind of in there. Now, I appreciate it is a yellow 1x1 modified plate at the moment. I have ordered a red one, so when that is red, it will be completely seamless. And I've also taken the idea of adding some of my Transport Network logos as stickers on the side of the bus. And I think now that is the bus well and truly finished. And I think those stickers really add to it. They're actually from 60098. Yeah, that's right. The set the beast is from. And then I thought I'd show all of the amendments for my crab boat, just because there were so many, and there were so many good ones that I wanted to make sure that you knew that your amendments had got through. So in no particular order, I've added an anchor to the front, a lot more water all over the boat to represent all the rough seas and splashes and so on. I've added another dish which still enables the lid of this to be opened. It's a more modern sort of radar setup. I've swapped Sig's hands round so his binoculars are on show. I've filled in this gap that some people didn't like that was down there. I've also extended the striping along all of this area here, including adding some lights onto the front area, so it'll aid navigation. Also sorted out the Chundering guy, so it's a lot easier to see his pukey face. We've got his cap being held in his hand and a hairpiece on. Very simple change, but very effective. He's just holding onto it with one of those kind of bar pieces with a stud on top in transparent, because those hats are a bit hard to hold. And that is it. So that is our completed crab boat set as well. And I think that looks absolutely fantastic. All the better for your amendments again. So thanks very much for that. Right, let's get on to the hospital now and the hospital amends from last time. Okay, so this is the part 1 hospital. And there were quite a few amendments suggested from last time. A lot of them were quite premature in a way, because I haven't either got to that floor yet, or maybe about this outside area, it'd be good to grass it, or change the path, or change the handrail, or whatever. I will do some of those things, but it's a bit early at the moment, because I don't know exactly where this is going in Brick Nottingham itself, and until I do, I won't know exactly how I want it. But there were a few more on the inside that I've actioned. One was swapping the gender-specific torsos for the male and female nurses, and I do find it a bit annoying when Lego make torsos gender-specific, because what if I want to give a female nurse a stethoscope and a male nurse a pocket with a pen in it? I can't. So anyway, I've swapped those round so they're the right way around to stop any further comments. Now, another one was about the reception area, in that this is essentially a very deep facade building, with the standing hole, the second standing hole in the Lego room, being right behind this building. So it's kind of representing a much bigger building that's kind of been chopped by a huge guillotine. So this building does, in my mind, continue much more deeply than is currently shown. So for example, this would be the end of a corridor that might go all the way along here. And with that in mind, when people came in here and the chairs were all in a row along the back of reception, there was no way to sort of get into the rest of the hospital, and maybe to the lifts to go to different floors or different wards or what have you. So it was a very good suggestion to turn them 90 degrees to leave what would be a corridor into the rest of the hospital. And while I was there, I also did another suggestion, which was to add a pot plant. Now, another suggestion was about this sort of gap here, because in a way there's a gap between the back of the shop and the garage, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, the access for the shop would be, again, from this direction here, from the standing hole, and the access to the garage as well for the people, like the driver, would be from this direction as well. So we don't need any sort of doors into this section. But what we probably do need to remove is this gap in between the two. So with that in mind, I'm actually going to take out this whole pillar here, all of the bits there, and replace it with a new pillar, but that actually fills in the gap as well. And I can use that opportunity to actually improve the shop a great deal. So I can have these two shelves here, and you can see there's quite a lot of products for sale now. We've got a couple of Lego sets, and I've deliberately put one of them on a 2x2 plate just to push it out a bit to suggest that there's more behind it. And on the top shelf, we've got a radio for maybe a patient who's a bit bored, some chocolate, a camera, and whatever a razor might be. Might be actual razors for male patients or something who need a shave. So I thought that could replace the old pillar and prevent access between the shop and the garage. But while I'm there, I may as well utilise the back. So I've got a couple of tools for some maintenance on the ambulance, and I've also added a map sticker onto a 1x4x3 panel piece, which is originally from one of the police sets. I think it's actually marking loads of different crimes together with string, but maybe that's incidents that the hospital's recently attended, or maybe routes that an ambulance driver might take. So basically, I should be able to, hopefully, get this in here. Oh, wow. Thought that was going to go wrong on camera, but it's gone very well. And then you can see now that we've got the map and the tools there. And I've also added a broom on the other side. And there you can see right into the shop, and you can see that it's got a lot more stock. So it's much more realistic. So I'm very happy with that suggestion as well. Now, the last suggestion I had was to make the whole thing 2 studs deeper. Well, I say the whole thing, pretty much this side over here. Now, I won't do that because basically it won't give me too much additional space. And also I haven't got the pieces. But I did think of another way to make this whole build much bigger. So for that, I think you should probably follow me into Lego Digital Designer. Okay, so here we are in Lego Digital Designer. And this is the 4-story plan that we are working to, being the extended version of the 2-story original set. And firstly, just to show you what that extension would have been, it was basically to move this entire sort of 2/3 of the building 2 studs towards us, or towards the street, which would give us a bit more room on the inside, both in the reception area and in these wards and these corridors. But the problem being that it would only be a little bit more space at the foot of the beds, which isn't that useful, and I'd need a heck of a lot of 8 wide plates in dark bluish grey, and I've used absolutely all my 8 wide plates as part of my main railway station to make all of the platforms. So rather than have to get a whole load of new expensive pieces, I think I'll keep it at 6 wide. But it did get me thinking about extending this hospital, because we've only done 2 floors so far, but we're already getting loads of scenes that look fantastic, and I've got loads more ideas for other fantastic scenes that can go in a hospital. So this build is 4-story, as we said, and it was a slight extension on the intermediate plan by increasing the width a bit. And that was a 4-story version of the original 2-story set, which looks really small now in comparison when you look back at it. But that was 2 stories based on 3 window panels. And the intermediate one was 4 stories based on 6 window panels. So can you see where I'm going? Yep. Why not do 6 stories based on 9 window panels? I mean, With this sort of modular build, the sky really is the limit, to be quite fair. But I do think that this might be the limit for practical reasons, because any taller than this, and we might have a bit of trouble seeing the fairground over the top of it, quite frankly. It might be too tall already. Yeah, so you'll have to tell me what you think. But it does represent a lot more room. So before we had 3 wards inside, and here I can extend that to 4 whilst also liberating this top floor area. And we also had obviously only 2 corridors, and now we've got 4 corridors. We also had 2 specialism rooms, as I'm calling them, but now we'll have 4, and of course that additional space on the top. So it just gives us a lot more capacity for a lot more scenes and a lot more hospital action. So I'm all for that. So do tell me what you think, but my plan is to go for a 6-storey hospital. So last time we did the bottom 2 floors. I suggest we do a similar amount today, do the middle 2 floors, and then we'll do a part 3 now, which can be the top 2 floors. Right, let's get moving. Right, so as I said last time, this is going to get harder and harder to film as I get taller and taller with this building. But nonetheless, here goes. So I'll start with the ward. So it'll be the second ward, another one much like this. I'm going to keep the same sort of pattern. I'm going to have another pair of beds here with another set of very, very ill people in them. I'm going to have the same sort of setup in the middle, which was from the original set, repeated, but with this 2-2 tile from the 7113 Tusken Raider Encounter set from Star Wars. So I'll put that on just like it was in the other set. And I'll put 2 more UV drips on. One on there. And I thought I'd vary this one up a little bit. Instead of putting a clear piece on the top, I put a red one on. For perhaps reasons you can guess. So this guy's extra ill. It's not going well. So let's see what he looks like. So first of all, the guy who is doing okay uses some more pieces from a variety of places, actually. The head is a glow-in-the-dark one from Lord of the Rings, where he's one of the sort of dead men. He's wearing a bandaged torso. The leg piece is from the Series 15 Clumsy Guy. So it's got the cast on one foot that's been signed and so on. And he's really been through the wars because he's actually got 2 of the new bandages for the arm or wrist. So yeah, this guy must have fallen down a heck of a lot of stairs to end up looking like this. So I thought I'd put him in one bed with one foot slightly raised, as is sometimes the case when you've got it in a cast. And then a guy who's incredibly ill. Now, I wanted to use pieces like I did last time to make these guys look ridiculously ill, just to make it more funny, really. So this one is no exception. Yep, doesn't he look unwell? So this is using the head from the Swamp Monster that's actually part of a Scooby-Doo set, the Haunted Lighthouse 75903. So in that set, he's actually one of those sort of masked normal people. But in this, I'm covering up the majority of that with the head bandage piece from the Clumsy Guy again, Series 15. I've got some more of the pyjama trousers that I used last time from Pyjama's Emmett Polybag or the Series 6 Sleepyhead. So all of those pieces are rather special in one way or another. And I can put him on that bed. So, I mean, he clearly does not look very well at all. He arguably looks a bit scary unwell, but we're going with it. So that's what that looks like. And just to show off the glow-in-the-dark pieces, I'll use my UV light and you can see that head starting to glow. And hopefully you can also see that those 2 torsos are actually starting to glow because they're from the glow-in-the-dark mummy that is available as well. Some are in white and some are glow-in-the-dark. So that's quite good fun. I'm not sure I'll ever be really shining a UV light into my hospital, but to the extent I do, that will be the result. Great. Right, so I should add the walls now. And nothing new here. These are going to follow the same pattern as on the floor below. because I want it to be repetitive by design. And obviously this gap will get filled by the red columns and the big window panel pieces at the end when we've done both of the floors. So we just need a small pillar there to separate the ward from the corridor, and then a big pillar here to separate the corridor from the specialism room. And I just need to join all those together with a 1x6 and a 1x16. So there's the ward done. So now on to our next specialist room. Okay, so this is the next specialist area, and I thought this one would just be a general examination area, because it's not always that you need a massive operation or a big procedure like an X-ray or a scan. Sometimes you just need a bit more diagnosis. So I thought this room would cater for all sorts of things. Now, obviously the walls are missing. I'm using different plates just so we can look at it a bit more easily before I put it into the main build. And I'm also using, if I just remove this for a second, a couple of the stickers from the latest hospital set, 60204. That's the one from 2018, which sadly isn't on sale anymore. And if you can read this, you have good vision. That's quite fun. And all the shapes. And there's a little sort of screen with an eye on. And I had this little 1x2 decorated brick as well. So I may as well put that in as well. So there's that. And this is the device that you would be staring through at the screen. And that will get built into the wall. And this grey little plate here will hopefully get hidden by some more climbing plant up the outside of the build, and that's why I've added this 1x1 modified brick here as well. And you can see there's a special cupboard in there that's got the sort of normal sort of EMT type logo, and that's from the set 7902 Doctor's Car. And I've got a little sort of specimen jar there, a little sort of hammer that they use to sort of test your reflexes on your knees. Some scissors here, and there's a nice sort of table, a little mat for you to stand on there, and then this is kind of an examination bench. And the scene that I wanted to do in here is a very funny scene, a bit rude but a bit fun, and it was basically for this guy who is not enjoying this procedure at all, who's wearing top half pyjamas, as the same as all the other patients, but on the bottom half he's not wearing anything. So he's had to take his trousers off, and he's had to mount this examination bench. And as I say, he's not looking very happy about it. And then we've got a very cheery doctor or nurse here. And he's got the sort of winking face that's really quite funny from the Series 18 Unicorn Guy. And, well, I won't be needing this hand. Get rid of that, because he's going to be performing a very intimate procedure on this poor man that gentlemen of a certain age, fortunately I haven't reached that age yet, have to go through, where a man will examine a very intimate place for a potential problem. So that's what's going on there, and I thought with that being right at the back, we could see that when we're in the standing hole, and it was quite a funny thing. And you can see the arm going right up to and into this poor minifigure here. So yeah, hopefully you find that amusing. And it's a good thing that YouTube's for 13 and up, because I think that humour is suitable. If you're below 13, perhaps you shouldn't be watching. But anyway, so there is my funny scene for the next specialist room. So let's get that transferred into the build, and then I can start adding the rest of the walls. Right, so there's that scene transferred to the main build. And I'm just going to add a 2x2 tile to these bits here. And that's just another one of those site charts. And this one's actually from the Simpsons Series 2 Selma character. So I'll just pop that on there. So that looks very good. And then I can add the walls as per the floor below. So that bit all goes there. Okay, and then this should fill in that gap. There we are. And now I've got my long wall of windows. which doesn't give this man any privacy. That was another one of the comments that I got quite a lot of. It isn't very private, this hospital, in the sense that this man's having a nasty experience, and we can all see it from outside. But I figure that's a lot better than this being a solid wall, even when there's x-rays going on and light maybe would interfere with that, just because otherwise we can't see in. And I think seeing in is a more important thing to achieve here than, complete realism. So there's another one of those windows. So we've got a nice tall red line going on here, much like the tall red line going on here, and the two more there. And here is our ivy or climbing plant continuing on, and that's now attached here as well. So this bit that was wobbly is nice and firm, and this bit, yeah, it's a little bit wobbly, but I think we can cope. And the very top of it is partially hiding the back of that grey modified plate that we really can't help. So there we go. So there is our third floor. Now there's nothing in the corridor. So what I thought I could probably squeeze in somewhere is a skeleton. Because often in doctors' offices, at least in the olden days, they used to have a skeleton so they could point at bits of it and say, well, your problem's there, mate. So I thought that could be somewhere. So I could put it in that room, but I want it to be a bit more visible. So I'm going to put it in the corridor. And I appreciate this kind of blocks the thoroughfare a bit. But quite frankly, I'm willing to have that be the case, because I really kind of want to have this skeleton on view. So let me see if I can get that in on camera. There we are. So there is a skeleton with his wobbly arms. Great. Okay, so let's get on with the fourth floor, though goodness knows how I'm going to film that. I'll probably have to perch the camera on something precarious. Right, so I've added this floor on so we can do the next ward. But before we do, I have moved that skeleton actually to the back of the examination room, because I think it fits a bit better there and it doesn't block the corridor so much then. And I've also added, as a result, another male nurse, this guy with a turban and a nice moustache and beard as well. He looks rather jolly, so he can fill up a bit of the space in this floor that was made by moving the skeleton. So on to the next ward. Well, this is going to follow a very familiar pattern by now, and it's going to have 2 more beds and 2 more UV drips, and it's even going to have the same kit in the middle, including that Star Wars tile from the Tusken Raider encounter. So that's all right. And I'm going to have 2 different people in this one, obviously. Now this is going to be a ladies' ward. So I've got this lady who doesn't look very happy at all. She's incredibly ill, bandaged from head to foot, but the head looks very icy indeed. So I think this is an Ninjago head actually. But yeah, it looks very scary indeed. Maybe she's got pneumonia or something even worse. So I thought she could be lying in that bed. I'm rather worried at sharing a ward with her is a very scared grandma in her pink nightie. Now this is a minifigure that was part of the set 21315, the pop-up book, because she was the grandma in the Little Red Riding Hood story. So I thought she could just be sat up like that, looking a bit disturbed. Right, so that is so far so simple. So let's get on with doing the walls. And I've still got the repeating sort of grills on the outside and so on. So we've got that there, the back wall there, the pillar here, the bigger pillar. Now on this one, I thought I'd have a little first aid kit just hanging from the wall. And that's one of these modified plates with the bar on, which is sort of the handle by which you'd carry it, or that it's hanging in this case. And that was actually unique to one set, which was the City Starter set 60086. Fun little set that had all sorts of little things in it. And that can go there. That gap's going to be the floor there when that comes in. And I can put the bracer pieces on as well. So that is that floor. Now we've got a bit of space in here. So what I suggest we do is follow some more of your suggestions from one of the recent brick hauls. And that was with regard to the llama suit girl who could have been a mascot to cheer up the kids in a hospital. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. I couldn't think of anything else to use this for, maybe to attend my stag do or bachelor party. But I thought that this llama could be on this floor. Let's put her about, I don't know, there or something like that. No, it's not a good connection, but I'll sort it out in a minute. And she could be chasing the pajama girl, who's a little girl. Maybe they're playing hide and seek, so she could be an ill girl from a children's ward that's either run away or they're playing a game. And she'd be appropriately dressed as a result, because we've actually got two different nighties here. So that's really good. So I'm very happy for all those to be in there. Maybe she's hiding behind a pillar or something like that. Who knows? But it's a good fit, I think, and a good use of two very hard to use figures from Series 20. Right. That looks great. I think we should move on to our next specialist room. And for that, I thought I'd do a special baby unit. So not all visitors to a hospital are for something awful. A lot of visits are for something wonderful, like the birth of a child. So here we go. Here is a special baby unit. And this is for either very newborns or perhaps premature babies who have to be kept over. So I've got one of those cupboards again from the same doctor's car, 7902. Got a little feed bottle and whatever that is. And then I've got two little cots here, which are using the pattern that was part of the recent hospital set, the 60204 one. But I've added a little bit of variety, and I've added one of these panels onto the end of both, which kind of represents perhaps a chart of their progress. And I've also added a pink tile on the top of this one to represent a girl, and a baby blue one on top of this one to represent a boy. And I've put a second bottle on there. I've also used the wonderful Sea Life sticker from that same set as well as a panel here, just to give a nice bright backdrop to the baby room. So that's great. Now the only thing that's missing from this, because we've got pretty much a changing table and everything else, is the most important elements, which is the babies. So I've got one in this sort of pale limey green, and I've got one in white, and they look very happy. Now they are going to be loose in here, so from now on I'm going to have to be a bit careful about shaking it too much, because I don't want to upset the babies. But they look rather fantastic and cute in there, I think. So I'll transfer this to the rest of the hospital build, and that could be another specialist unit. Now, I will have some flowers outside in a vase just to brighten it up for the new mums. And also, because sometimes it's, you know, important to keep them from any infection, since they're so vulnerable, I thought I'd also add a kind of internal wall made of a glass panel piece and a glass door, and that's got another sticker from that set just saying it's the baby unit, little picture of a baby, and the other one's got one of those sort of marks on, but I don't mind that here actually, because it's kind of like one of those marks that prevents you walking through a glass screen, in that, you know, you can see that it is actually glass and you can't ignore it. So I thought that would go about there as well, or maybe there actually, with the flowers outside, and that'll look rather fantastic as well. Let's do that. Right, so that's all on there, and I can start adding the rest of the walls. Got that there, that there. So we've got a doorway into the rest of the hospital. Our continuation of the glass column, and then our big glass wall on this side, like that. This is very hard to do right in front of the camera. There we go, looking good. Right, so I want that glass door wall in there, so we'll put that in about there. Squeeze that down. There we go. And then we can have the plant in the window. There we go. So hopefully you can see all that. It's a bit hard to show you, but there we go. You can definitely see through the window. There's both the babies. Looking very happy. And through that window as well. See all the bottles and so on. Yeah, I think that looks really good. You can even see the bright panel piece over there. So I won't continue up the climbing plant anymore. I think that's probably going high enough. Or maybe I'll add one more. I don't know. But I haven't got another modified brick to make it go too much higher. And I don't want it particularly wobbly. So that's all right. Good. So now we are up to 4 stories. I really need to extend this. So let's do that. So I've got 3 more of the window bits. 3 more red for one side. Oh, 3 more red for the other side. Now this isn't held in place, so it is getting a bit sort of wobbly now. So I have to be careful because it'll only get really clamped in place when we've done that 5th and 6th floors, which then tie it all into the top roof. But I think you can see now that this is becoming a real city centre hospital of very many floors, and I'm pretty happy with it. Wow, this is going to become an absolute monster by the time it's finished. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to film part 3, given this is the tallest thing that I've got to sit the camera on to get this height. I'm going to have to get my big tripod down from the Lego room, I think. Anyway, so to recap what we've done, we have decided to make this 4-story build a 6-story build. So we've built 2 more intermediate floors. The first one, we've got another male ward with some really ill-looking people and another male nurse. And then we've got a doctor performing an examination in the examination room. And it just goes to show how important it is to get exactly the right minifigure heads, so you can get the expressions just right to make a scene all the more wonderful. We've even got a skeleton in the background and some screens and all the rest of it in there. Then we've got our first female ward with some more very ill people, a lot of nightwear and the hospital llama mascot. And then we've got probably the cutest room in the entire hospital as well, which is the special baby unit with a couple of newborn babies in their little cots in their very special room with flowers outside and all the rest of it. So I'm really happy with that. And we've got the continuation of our long windows out the front. We've also got the continuation of our climbing plants. And yeah, it's really coming together with all these vertical red elements. I think it really works. And we can even see very clearly, even though it's not very realistic, but we can see very clearly what's going in, or what's going on rather, on absolutely every floor. So, loving it. Can't wait for part 3. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And next time at Robin Hood Bricks, I think we'll be doing a bit of a train video on Monday. Then on Wednesday, we'll be doing another brick haul as usual. And next Friday, we'll do part 3 of this wonderful hospital build. See you then!